Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and today's discussion is I'm always angry in my marriage. Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. And this topic, there's a bit of irony here. It's I'm always angry in my marriage. And the irony is something that is going to be of interest, but it's not really relevant to you, but I think it's important to mention. And that is that most of the people who complain about anger in their marriage are women. But most of the problem with anger in marriage actually originates with men. And there's a good reason for this. So we don't deal in studies and Western psychology. I used to be a divorce mediator until 2001, when a couple asked me to help them save their marriage, and it launched me on an investigation into marriage that really revealed a lot of important things that I believe will change how we view marriage in the world when it catches on. But just know that our non-traditional methods of helping people with their marriage are incredibly effective. And I've written 2 books. One is Lessons for a Happy Marriage, and the other is Breaking the Cycle. And you could check the reviews on Amazon and all that. They're really good books. And then later on, we put on online courses, one for men and one for women. And this is how I know that most of the complaining about anger in the marriage is coming from women who don't like to be angry, rather than from men who don't realize how destructive their anger is in the marriage. So I'm going to cover this from both points of view, and I'm also going to tell you something right up front, and that is that you don't have to live with your own anger. And that's what this topic is. I'm always angry in my marriage. Now, even if you're not feeling so much anger that it's rattling you, you still have anger going on. It is a natural thing to feel angry. Is it a good thing? No. Is it acceptable? No, it isn't. And I'll get into that also. But I want to share with you first a very important idea, because we don't approach marriage with, okay, what's wrong? We approach marriage with, how do we transform the marriage into such a positive marriage filled with so much happiness and love that the issues, quote unquote, the issues fall away and in fact don't come up anymore. That is what I discovered is the right way to fix marriages. We don't go into, well, he's doing this to me, and so don't I have a right to be angry? But she's always doing this, and of course I'm going to snap back. So let's talk about anger, first of all. So we have an understanding of what it is that we're dealing with. Because no matter what, you don't want to infuse anger into your marriage, which is another important topic. So anger is a reaction. It's not part of you unless you allow it to be. And let me explain, let me tell you where I'm going with this. You see, because we've been saturated with Western psychological thought, we have these beliefs around anger. We have these beliefs around emotions that focus who we are as being a mind. In other words, from Western psychological point of view, you're a mind. And that's all of it. In fact, if you dig a little deeply, they don't even get that love is not of the mind. And they describe love, and this is important in context, they describe love as an important like, which is of the mind. But love is not of the mind. Love is our true nature. And what do I mean by that? Well, our true nature means that what we are, if you describe a human being, how do you describe a human being? Even before you go to how do you describe a man and how do you describe a woman, a human being is, and this is not a religious idea, but a human being is a soul. And unless you're one of the very few atheists, that will resonate with you. The soul means we're part of God. What are the attributes of God? Number one is love. And so we are essentially spiritual beings comprised of love as its first attribute. And we have a body and we have a mind. So how do we get so confused and so wrapped up in the mind that anger is able to ruin our day? So I know I'm moving quickly, and of course I go a lot slower in the courses that we have, the online courses. And of course the books explain it to some degree. The courses are better. But it's very important for you to know, and that's why I'm going to take my time here with this topic. So imagine, if you will, that at the top of a pyramid is you, the soul, and then the two legs, you have a mind and a body, and they're connected. Okay? The mind and the body are connected, but you're the soul. So how do the body and mind connect with each other is a term we use is psychophysiology. So physiology is the body, psycho is the mind. Now remember, that's down here. You're the soul. So psychophysiologically, the mind and the body are interacting. And the way it works is this. And we have to now go back, if you will, to middle school usually, when we learn about the compelling drive of self-preservation. We all know that that is driving all of us, right? But it is in the body. How do we know that? Because every living cell has this. It's the drive to survive, self-preservation. Every living cell. Our bodies are comprised of trillions. I don't even know how many zeros come after trillion, but trillions of individual cells. Each one of these cells has an innate intelligence, doesn't think, but it has an innate intelligence, and incorporated into that cell is this self-preservation, the drive to survive. And so it's telling the mind, your number one responsibility is to protect me, the body. You see? So the body is telling the mind, you have to protect me. And the mind, until we start taking charge of our own mind, and we're never taught this, the mind is going to be responsive to the body's drive to survive. Does this make sense? So self-preservation is running the show. Now, what are good examples of this? A good example of this is an animal's coming at you. Whoa, all your guards, defenses come up, right? And you might even get angry. Because anger, what anger does, And again, it's part of the psychophysiology, and it's on purpose. The psychophysiology moves anger to the fore, and the anger stops you from thinking. It removes calmness. Where there's anger, there's no calmness. So you're not thinking through the situation that is getting your mind to react defensively based on self-preservation. I hope this isn't too much for you, because it's really, really important. So what's happening, and I'm going to give you like a chunk of this that is chewable, is that this drive to survive, this self-preservation, is causing an automatic reaction that sets you, the soul that's up on top, aside. Doesn't need you. It wants to protect the body. And unfortunately, what happens is the mind and the body working together, the self-preservation drive starts going into other categories, not just to protect the body, but it becomes confused because we're not using our wisdom and our judgment to say, no, that's not death. That's not a death threat. You see, an animal coming after you is a death threat. So it makes total sense for the anger to come to the fore, because that way you are not wasting energy on other things. We're either attacking or running. We're doing something that is very straightforward. That's what anger does to us. But what happens is, because we haven't been ruling our minds, because we're not ruling our minds, things like someone insulting you, or your perception, your mind's perception, not your perception, but your mind's perception of an insult, will be regarded by the mind as a death threat. Now, it doesn't go, oh my God, we're going to die. It's happening all automatically beneath the surface. And then what happens is a little bit of insult, or, and this is a very, very important or, not getting our way. When we don't get our way, it's universal that when we don't get our way, the mind interprets it as a big threat, and up comes anger. Anger is not ours. We could make it ours, but at our state of consciousness, it's not a good idea to make it ours. It's a better idea to, whenever we start to feel a little bit of anger, our first reaction should be, whoa, am I really being threatened here? You see, because you're not going to have time to go, oh, well, this is just the mind reacting, so let me, decipher that later. Rather, we need to put the brakes on right now. How do you do that? Now, I want to stop for a moment. I am going to tell you how you do that, but I want to stop for a moment and get into what marriage is all about. Because you're here not just about the anger. The anger is an important piece of this, and there's a lot to learn. That's why I wrote 2 books and created the online course for men and one for women. But we don't understand what marriage is all about. And because of that, what we have done without knowing, and it's not your fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't learn all of this stuff until 2001, when I began learning this stuff. And now I've compiled it over a period of 8 to 10 years. I compiled it, did a lot of work with individuals and couples, so I really have a handle on all of this and understand it really well, and I want to share that with you. So most people don't even know why they got married. let's begin with that. Why do you get married? And it's very interesting because most of us think, well, I got married because I fell in love. Sure, but so what? That's not a good enough reason to get married, and now you know that. But there is a compelling reason for getting married. And there's a compelling reason to learn how to be married and get the most out of your marriage. And we don't learn this. So let's begin with, why do you get married in the first place? And I'm going to save you from hearing the story of how I discovered this and go right to it. We get married because we want to be happy. Sounds really simple, doesn't it? Yet we don't know that off the top of our heads. We just don't think in those terms. We think in terms of, well, I met my soulmate. I want to be with them for the rest of my life. That's a big one. Want to have children, want to fit into society, so it's cultural. There's a lot of really good reasons, but there's a universal reason that is critically important, which is I want to be happy. Many of us don't realize that it's not only okay to be happy, but it's morally correct. We're supposed to be happy. God designed us to be happy. Then you got to ask the question, what makes us happy universally? Because all of this ties together. These are all of these points tie together to make marriage the amazing answer to so much. Love is what makes us happy. And as I mentioned before, love is not part of Western psychology. And you could look it up. What is love? You Google it right now and you'll see they're going to tell you it's an increased like, because that's the thinking today. And you might say, yeah, but Western psychology is a science. Well, I'm here to tell you that when I was growing up, they put doctors, well, actors who pretended to be doctors on TV saying 9 out of 10 doctors recommend smoking Lucky Strike, a cigarette. Science. So we can't always trust what they put out as science. They almost killed Leonardo da Vinci, or maybe it was Galileo, for suggesting that the world wasn't the center of the universe. We're an evolving race of human beings. And we have not yet accepted that God, love, souls, doesn't have to be part of a religion. Now, it's wonderful to have a religion. Religion is good. Don't care what your religion is, it's good. But the fact of the matter is that the idea of God, soul, spiritual, doesn't have to be part of a religion. So we get married to be happy, and love is the universal panacea for happiness. Therefore, we don't want to include in our marriage things like negativity, things like fear, especially things like anger. We want to control those attributes of life, of our psychophysiology, that would bring our marriage down. And you have the power to do it. So the goal of marriage, the goal of life itself, is to be happy. You know, it's literally a compulsion of the soul to be happy. Happiness is what we are. Joy, ever new, ever expanding joy. And marriage is a great gift, because when we know how to be married, then we could cultivate love, cultivate happiness, and push aside those detrimental things that bring it down. Isn't it beautiful when you start to realize I got married to be happy, and all I need to do is learn all about marriage. You have to learn about marriage. It would be like getting a car and never having learned about what it's like to drive on the roads or how a car works. You're gonna die. And that's what happens to so many marriages. The divorce rate is over 50% because people just don't know. And the only teachings that I'm aware of about marriage that make any sense are the teachings that I discovered because I wasn't interfered with by Western psychological ideas and thoughts. Now, some people say, yeah, but what about if I go to my minister or my pastor? It's better. It's better because it's a spiritual thing. But so many ministers and pastors and rabbis and priests and imams have given in to Western psychology because we're bombarded with it. And that undermines the true process towards happiness. Look, we're here to serve you at the Marriage Foundation. We don't mess around. You could even write to us for free. It's a free service. We have an Ask a Counselor. There's a link below. And we have so many offerings. The videos, the articles, they're free. The books are very inexpensive. And frankly, so are the courses. The courses, you could get the course and it's as low as less than $10 a week for you. And my goodness, will you learn so much it'll blow your mind. You will become a marriage expert. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously, but you won't get bored. You won't get bored. You're going to learn, you're going to apply, and your marriage will turn into that which is meant to be, filled with joy and filled with happiness, filled with love and harmony. That's what you signed up for. In this anger business, in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, you have to work at stemming this anger. But I have techniques for all of that. You could do it. You can do it. Don't give up, but don't allow anger to ruin your day. Don't allow anger to ruin your marriage. I'm Paul Friedman. Go to our website, see all that we have to offer. Sign up. It's a free trial, 3-day free trial, and you'll go, oh my God, I'm learning so much in just 3 days, and you'll not want to cancel. You want to keep going. I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation, and I am so happy you stopped by. Share this with other people. You have no idea how many people are afflicted with this anger. It's like a disease, like a demon, but you can overcome it. God bless you. Thank you, and take care.